welcome each one of you to this session. Can we go to the next slide? No, next slide, Bush. To the masterclass on welding automation in manufacturing. This has been organized under the aegis of Industry 4.0 Expert Committee of the BCIC. We would like to really thank Mr. A.N. Chandramouli, who's the chair of this committee, and Mr. V. Jagannath, the co-chair of the expert committee. This is our 14th session that we are organizing through this committee, and the 5th in the masterclass session series that we are doing it. We would also like to thank the speaker for today's session, Mr. Alok Pandey, who is the senior sales manager from Ashikawa India Limited. We'd like to thank you, Mr. Alok Pandey, for accepting our invitation for today's session, and we look forward for a great session from here, today's presentation. May I now request, and also the session will be moderated by Mr. Jagannath, and hopefully the insights of our members will greatly benefit of this masterclass. We also request all the participants to kindly mute your mic and webcam option so that it doesn't disturb our proceedings and also any background noises. Or we could raise your hand, we will be able to take it forward. Please post your questions on the chat box and the speaker will respond to the queries. May I now invite Mr. V. Jagannath to inaugurate and set the context for today's subject and also moderate the session. Thanking you once again all. Thanks for joining us on a weekend. Over to you, Jagannath, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Prithvi, for the introduction. First of all, a warm welcome to all the members who have logged in into this program, masterclass program on welding. So primarily, we are going to look at what exactly are the techniques, in the welding, in robotic welding, what kind of welding are we going to look at it today. Just to set a background, if we look at the market, I would just like to give you a background on how exactly is the progress in the market in terms of robotization of welding. To be very, very precise, the market share in this segment on robotization of welding, especially if you look at the robot market, it is almost over 50% of the robots which are installed in India in the current situation is on welding. Primarily, it's most of you know that it is difficult, it is dusty, it is dangerous, and it is also very demanding. So this is one of the typical application where robotization on welding is highly applicable and also very relevant in the today's scenario. And of course, this particular segment comes with a lot of skill set which is required to achieve a good quality welding and also a good, resultant welding as a point of view in the relevance of context that when you want to really look at the quality of the component, the skill set is of very high cadre. Now, what happens is that if we look at the market, if you look at the two-wheeler, we have already crossed 20 to 23 million two-wheelers, and every two-wheeler has a frame and a lot of sub-assembly which requires typically welding. So if you look at the robotic welding takes a appropriate seat here to one of the application. And also passenger cars, there are a lot of sub-assembly weldings where we have crossed 4 million. And as we are going to increase more and more in terms of the two-wheeler and the four-wheeler. And if you look at the intense robotization on the weld, if you see, it has not even crossed 10%. Today, the 80 to 90% of the welding in two-wheeler is still manual. So there is a lot of headroom in terms of robotization of welding, and also looking at the turnaround in terms of how quickly I can get a frame once I start welding is something which is very important. And also the rejection rates. If you look at the manual welding rejection or the rework, it is quite high. It is more than 15 to 16% is the manual weld rework, which brings in a very longer takt time. And as a result, the realization of number of frames in the market really becomes a subject matter in terms of an issue in terms of turnaround. So today we are going to look at typically what are the technologies in welding, how do we accomplish robotized welding, and what kind of technology is applied, what kind of carbon dioxide, argon, and what kind of various types of welding we are going to look at it. And also, typically, how do we get in at the end of the day the return on investment? There is always a perception that anything you robotize, it's very highly cost driven in terms of investment. So we're also going to look at case studies today about the return on investment and how easy or how simple it is for us to go in for a robotization of an object, in case if there are high volumes and quick turnaround time. So, and also the speed and the kind of seam tracking technologies. What we are going to see is in terms of the repetitiveness of the component when we do the child parts. So these things we are going to see today. For us, we have Mr. Alok Pandey, who's working for Yaskawa with a good background of 14 years in robotics. He has been in ABB for 6 years and in Yaskawa now 8 years. He is a qualified mechanical engineer from RGTU and a master's MTech from Product Design and Development from National Institute of Technology, Warangal. And he comes with a complete application engineering and sales experience for 12 years in robotic welding, including the segments like arc welding, handling, spot, and press line, along on also hands-on experience of robot operation, and 2 years of experience in robotic line development and design. So we are going to look at typical techniques in welding. We're going to look at how to choose a weld source and what kind of return on investment, what kind of technology is there. And at the end of the session, we'll also see Weld 4.0, that how do we acquire the data and start looking at the performance parameters when you weld and what kind of output and what kind of voltage and currents and things like that. So I once again welcome Mr. Alok Pandey, to take through the session. We will have about 1 hour, 20 minutes, presentation, and by 12:30, 12:40, we will end the session and open it up for question and answers, and we will try to wrap it up by 1 o'clock. So this is the plan today. And once again, I would like to thank all of the attendees who have made it on a Saturday. Over to you, Mr. Alok. Please take it forward. Let's have a good section.
Thank you, sir, for your introduction.
You have to go to slideshow. Screen is visible. Make it slideshow. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So now screen is visible.
Yeah. Good to go.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Jagannathan sir, for your introduction and briefing about me. So as Jagannathan sir told, like today we will be starting about the welding technology and industry 4.0. So before starting that, I just want to go to the one picture. This is the iron pillar of Delhi. And this is a best example of welding, which is actually made in 375 to 415 CE. And this is a Indian historical example for forge welding, where if you see the top side of this particular pillar, it is welded by the forge welding technique in historical way. So India is having a great history in terms of the welding, and from the long year onwards, we are following the welding technology and moving further with that. Now, basically, when we talk about welding, welding is a one part of joining technology. So in the joining method of the welding, we are having one is a fusion technology. The fusion technology where actually we are melting the base metal. So when we are working with the base metal welding, that particular comes under the category of the fusion technology. And the fusion technology is popular in terms of arc welding, gas welding, and plasma welding. Normal popular weldings are arc welding in this particular robotic segment. So this is a TIG, MIG, MAG, and CO2 welding, which is divided at the basis of gas and electrode. Second is our pressure welding, or where we are joining by pressure. This, if I can, this is an advanced version of the friction welding, which you have seen like iron pillar kind of thing, where actually complete component has to be forged and welded. But here what happened, the particular point or particular area will be forged on the particular temperature, and with applying the pressure, we able to join the component. So this is an example with the spot welding, friction welding, and gas pressure welding. Then last is a blazing application where actually we are not melting the base metal, and with that we are joining the component by the soldering and gas soldering method. When we talk about basic principle of the welding, so in the basic principle, this is like welding is just done with the continuous sort. So we are just doing continuous sort, and arc is getting generated with a help of that. Whatever the filler material and base metal is getting melted, and we are proceeding for the welding. In the welding, mainly there is a 5 things like our wire feeder, torch, sealed gas, and power unit are there. So power unit normally required, like we have to give the constant voltage and current for the things. So from wire unit, one thing like we used to give the voltage and current for wire feeder. So wire used to go. Then torch, which is positive side normally in the MIG welding, and we are flowing the material. And there's a sealed gas. Sealed gas is very important when we are going for the any kind of MIG and MAG welding, because whatever the atmospheric contamination, nitrogen, oxygen, these all kind of gases is there, is create the impurities when we are doing the welding. So like the atmospheric, whatever the nitrogen is there, that is the main root cause of generating the blowholes when we are doing the welding. So our sealed gas is very important, and that's why at the basis of sealed gas there is a different kind of weldings are nominated. So here we talk about the type of arc weldings. So this is, as I told, like MIG, MAG and TIG is a normally variant of the arc weldings are there. So MAG and MIG welding is normally which is work with the consumable electrode and melting the our base metal. This is the most popular method where 80 to 90% of usage is going on for MIG and MAG welding. Because, and why is popular? Because now normally we are going for the high productivity. So wherever high productivity is concerned, we are going with MIG and MAG welding. The major advantage of MIG and MAG welding as is high speed. Disadvantage, of course, there is a few time of spatter and distortion will be there, but with our advanced technology which is going on current stage, with the basis of that we can able to remove the complete spatter, and also distortion will be controlled. So I would like to run the small video where actually a brief basic is given about the MIG welding. There is video sound is audible.
No, but you could explain it along with the video movie. You know, we are not able to hear, but you can give a simple explanation along with this. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So basically, so whatever we want to explain here, like whenever we are talking about the MIG welding, so here like whatever the base metals are there and filler wire are there, both are getting melted. And when both are getting melted, at the basis of that, this particular MIG welding is going on. So whatever our wire is there, that is normally going from the conduit liner, and the wire electrode is going through that. And this is like whatever is controlled by our power source and all things. So whatever the shielding gas is there, the shielding gas used to go with this particular unit of the gas diffuser, and the gas diffuser is used to work for diffusing the gas. So our whatever the welding is there, it going to get saved with kind of like whatever the blowholes and all things are there. Now we'll talk about the TIG weld. TIG welding is a non-consumable electrode, and normally we use the TIG welding where we require the good outlook. The advantage of TIG welding is the spatter is not generated, welding bead external are very beautiful, and the welding distortion is very little. But of course, the TIG welding used to work on the very slow speed. And when we talk about the welding technology, here we have tungsten electrode, and tungsten is having a very high melting point. So in this particular case, what used to happen, as tungsten is having a very high melting point, so whenever we are going through the tungsten, this is normally considered as a non-consumable electrode. It means it's not a non-consumable electrode. It also get consumed, but it takes very long time to consume, because here only base metal is getting melted, and with the help of this electrode, we are able to melt the base metal, and we are able to succeed the TIG weld. This is like our MIG welding, whatever the electrode is there, that is getting melted. But when we talk about tungsten welding, it is not getting. So that we can adjust the electrode whenever we are doing the TIG welding, and it will be covered by the end cap. So this is a TIG technology where actually when we are feeding the thing, and it's just melting the base metal, and with the melting the base metal, we are able to weld the component. This is a arc welding process, non-consumable electrode, filler metal added by hand or by separately. Shielding gas is stored in from the cylinder with high pressure. So this is a summary about the MIG and MAG welding with the TIG welding. Sorry. Now I will go for like robotic solution. So as we have seen, like whatever the welding method are there, TIG welding and MIG welding. So it includes with like when we are coming with the robot. So robot combination, this is the complete structure is required where like our manipulator, robot controller should be there, and the wire feeder will be mounted on the robot body from our whatever the welding wire is there. 1 minute, I just use the laser pointer. So whatever the conduit cable is there, through the conduit cable we are feeding the wire, and from wire feeder is going throughout the torch and coming out from the torch. Then there is a positive cable which is connected from power source to wire feeder, and the negative cable which is connected to the robotic jig. And whatever our power source is there, power source also interface between the controller and power source. So this interface by the weld interface cable. And gas hose used to go from the gas cylinder, as we have already seen the video, like there is a gas regulators are there from where we are controlling the gas pressure and all things. From gas hose is go to the wire feeder, and through wire feeder is moved to side towards the torch, and from the gas diffuser it used to come out. So this is a basic combination when we are going for the robotic welding, and this is a complete setup. This is a ready to weld package. So whenever you are discussing with any vendor or something like this, you have to take the complete package as a normal robotic welding. Then we talk about the classification of MIG and MAG welding. So one is as a basis of waveform control. So this is a waveform control. One is a pulse waveform and one is a short arc waveform. Second is as the basis of gas. So when we talk about the gas, the sealed gas plays, as I told, the major role in terms of that. So argon gas, which is normally taken by in aluminum welding, MIG This is for argon 98 or O2 like mainly combination. This is for SS welding, and MAG welding like arc and CO2 mix. This is normally popular for mild steel SS things, and CO2 welding, which normally at the base of gas is the lowest price, is normally used for the mild steel. So normally, if we see in this chart, is showed like a low price when we going for the CO2 welding, but spacer tends to increase. But if we talk about, we are having few latest technology and all things. With that, we can even control the spatter with CO2 welding, and we can go with high speed also, which I will explain in the later slide when it come for the Eagle method. So now is a gas type welding. So in the gas type welding already explained like this MIG, CO2 and M and MAG welding is there. So now I just want to touch up about the which gas, which kind of good points are there. So when we talk about CO2 gas, whenever we are using the CO2 gas, it gives the very good penetration because it is a good amount of heat input. So we are getting the very good penetration in this particular case. But of course, there is a few amount of spatter used to generate. Then argon gas, the occurrence of stability of arc is excellent. As a result of mechanical property will be excellent. Helium gas, whenever we are using, there is an improvement of penetration and upgrading of weld speed is excellent. Oxygen gas, stability of arc is will be going to rise, and separation of droplet at tip of wire is promoted. As a result, droplet become very small. And then is H2 gas, improvement of penetration of upgrading of weld speed is excellent whenever we are going with H2 gas. As only the weak point, like when we talk about the argon gas, the penetration is very easy and narrow, like the penetration will be less whenever we are going with the argon gas. Now we'll talk about at the basis of waveform basis. So waveform basis, there is a pulse welding and short circuit welding. This I am just talking about the as a basis of thumb rule basis. So by pulse welding, we are using normally for more than 3 mm. Of course, pulse welding can be used with higher trends of technology with 1 mm also, but at the basis of welding thumb rule, normally it will be the medium thickness we are using the pulse welding. Pulse welding advantage is normally its speed is 80 centimeter to 200 centimeter, like we can go very faster, and the amount of spatter tends to decrease. Disadvantage, like we can get the burn through tends to be generated, and welding distortion tends to be generated. When we talk about short circuit welding is normally as a thumb rule known for the lesser sheet thickness like 2.3 or below, and the welding distortion is very little. And when we talk about the welding speed is slow than the pulse, but spatter tends to increase. But as I already told, whatever this welding speed is slow and spatter tends to increase is a issue with the short circuit welding. But when we go with the advanced technology, this will not become an issue in short circuit welding. So this is just like a waveform format. So I just want to explain how the waveform normally works when we are talking about the pulse welding. So in pulse welding, if you see wherever this our current we are holding, in this current we are in this particular era we are melting the wire. So this is a production of droplet. Then after that we are transferring. So when we are transferring that particular metal droplet, and at the end we are again holding the current and we are maintaining the arc, and this cycle we are repeating again and again for doing the pulse welding. When we coming about the short circuit welding, in the short circuit welding our wire is touching the base metal, generating the short. When short is generated, then arc generation will happen, and with this continuous cycle we are maintaining the arc and we are continuously doing the welding. This selection of welding, like this is, I can tell this is a summary of whatever we have talked about the short circuit welding and the pulse welding. So the short circuit welding, basically the base part category, seat frame, body and frame. The seat thickness is 2.3. 1 minute. Yeah. So whatever sheet metal seat thickness is there, 2.3 or less, and pulse is 3 or more. Welding speed 40 to 100 centimeter and pulse 80 to 150 centimeter. Penetration in short circuit will be high, in pulse will be relatively low, and bead appearance in short circuit will be higher spatter, less burn through, and when we talk about pulse, low spatter, more burn through. These examples are there. If you see the right hand side, is a both of the video have shown. If you see the short circuit welding, the continuously wire is feeding, is going to touch the base metal, is generating the short again and again and melting the wire. In the basis of that, welding is going on. And when we talk about the our pulse welding, here if you see, when we are holding the current, we are melting the wire and the water droplet is going down, and with this continuously we are melting the wire and we are performing the pulse welding. Now when we talk about these weldings, in this welding the few weld condition settings are there, which is with the basis of that the process will be defined. So this is a very basic language. We have made the slide. Of course, this is a very busy slide. But when we talk about the welding speed when faster than usual, like whatever the predefined speed at the basis of component, material, whatever gas we are using, at the base of whatever the normal speed we have to define, if is faster than that, then bead width will become narrow, penetration becomes shallow, means less, the reinforcement of welding becomes low, and the undercut becomes easy to be. And when the distance between the contact tip and the base metal is higher, whenever is higher, so even normally we can tell this is a stick out. Whenever is higher, the welding current to be reduced and arc will be made longer and penetration will be reduced. When we talk about the welding current, and welding current whenever the bigger than usual, means whatever welding current you have to provide, if it's providing the bigger or more, then bead width will become wide, penetration will become deep, reinforcement of weld become high, the occurrence of spatter become little. Then of course when we see in welding we are having a different kind of wire diameter. So whenever we are increasing the wire diameter, the occurrence of spatter becomes many, the penetration becomes shallow, and arc stability become unstable. The next is the shielding gas. Whenever your shielding gas is little or windy, that particular time you are tends to get the blowholes in your particular welding bead. Appearance change with the which kind of shielding gas we are using. Then torch angle. So whatever the predefined torch angle is there, if from predefined torch angle we are going in opposite direction, the bead width automatically will become narrow, the reinforcement of weld is become high, and the penetration become deep. When we talk about the nozzle height, if you see in this diagram is shown the nozzle height, this is a tip and wire stick altogether is the nozzle height. So whenever we increase the nozzle height, the blowhole occurs, and when is lower than usual height, the spatter is easy and fitted inside the nozzle and burn back in the nozzle will happen. So we have to be specific about our nozzle height. Then arc length and arc voltage. So when is longer than usual, the bead width become wide, reinforce of weld become low, and penetration becomes shallow. But spatter ball becomes very large whenever we are going with longer arc voltage. So this is a summary of the weld conditions, whatever is there. This is of course as the basis of basic thumb rule only. As the basis of different technology, always things change. Other than this, I just want to talk about the few pre-process example. So whenever we have seen, like when we are doing the heavy welding and all things, and while heavy welding, when we do the welding, then some kind of crack occurs. So how we can reduce that crack? For reducing that crack, we have to go for the pre-process, and that pre-process is we have to do the preheating of the base material. So whenever we are doing the preheating of the base material, which to be welded minimize the temperature difference between the material and the arc, slow the cooling rate in the weld area, and reduce the risk of cracking. Also there is like a preheating of gas is required whenever we are going for CO2 gas, and CO2 gas have a tendency, like whenever temperature is changing and temperature is very low, then is get somewhat in liquid stage or solidify kind of stage. So in that particular case what happens, we have to use the heater. If we use the heater, we are heating the particular gas, and with that when we are welding, then only our welding width comes proper. So whenever in case of CO2 welding, we have to use the heater in backside for the good welding. Then other than the welding and welding power source, when we talk about our robots, because these all power source has to be mounted on the robot. So on the industrial category, robot supplier used to have a different reach and different payload at the basis of customer requirement. So when it comes like a 700 mm reach and 900 mm reach, this kind of robot is very compact robot, and this is specific to the application where customer are too much choosy about his space consumption. If you really want to constrain the space or minimum space you want to work, then only normally we are going with like smaller reach robot. But when we talk about in automotive popular range of robot, the popular range of robot is there is 1440 mm reach and 2 meter reach robot. These two robots are very popular in the automotive industry, where with the help of these two robot we can able to solve the all kind of component. Then there is like one more 7 axis robot where like whatever the bow arm is there, this having a one more axis. This is like if you are making a very compact cell and you want very extra accessibility through the robot, then normally we are going with this 7 axis robot. And when this 3 meter robot reach is required, this is normally for engineering industry or non-automotive industry where your reach is very wide and you require longer reach of robot. Production is not that much, so in that particular case we are going with a longer reach robot where like single robot, single machine can able to perform the things and you can able to achieve the complete component. Then this different kind of power source. So this is like at the basis of function and at the basis of thickness we have to choose the power source. When we talk about like 350 amps category power source, as a thumb rule they are normally suitable from 0.6 mm to 4 mm thickness of welding, where their performance is very good. And when we talk about the function, in the function like basic short circuit welding power source like SR350 and all thing what we have. So in this thing like with the basic function we can move further on that. And when we go for function need to be increased like low spatter with CO2 welding and pulse welding. So in that particular case, this X3 power source is there. So whenever like we are going for, we are enhancing the pulse technology, we are going for low spatter, so we are increasing the function. And then further things, if like 100% CO2, as I told in earlier slide, CO2 is having a tendency to generate the more spatter and speed is slow. But when we are going with this kind of system like Eagle, this is like a servo wire feeding system where torch is servo. So where from the actual servo motor you are taking a wire and you are pushing it and you are controlling by push-pull mechanism. This particular case will reduce your spatter by 97% and increase your speed by 40 to 50%. So this is an example where from short circuit welding also you can get the very good speed and very good bead quality with higher speed. Whenever we are moving for the like construction industry, shipping, building, seat frame and all thing, then normally we are going with 500 amps power source, where like few power source with 60% duty cycle and few power source with 100% duty cycle, also with push and pull mechanism also. So here actually I just want to explain with the Eagle welding or with servo wire feeding system how we can able to achieve a low spatter with the short circuit welding only. So if you see in this particular video, when it's moving further, when normal kind of arc welding is happening in short circuit, so the wire is moving further continuously in forward direction, and when it's touching the base metal, the back force generated and spatter generation happen. But when we go for push and pull system, we are continuously feeding the wire and then again we are going back whenever the back force is coming. So spatter generation will be very little in this particular case. And second thing, as is having a servo wire feeder, so we can push the wire with a higher speed and we can achieve the greater speed from the same welding machine. So these are kind of different power source, but we have like X350, SR350, and this is like a catalog data. So I just don't want to move further with this particular data. I will skip this slide. And other than this, like the robot supplier used to have their own power source which is inbuilt and all things. So normally we used to suggest wherever the customer is going as a first time user, so they should go with as a pre-built as a single source solution robot and power source. But at the basis of that, where the technology demand, like if customer is going for very thin sheet welding, then TPS 4000 CMT is required, like CMT power source is required. required. So in that particular case, you can use the Fronius and all thing, and then Lords, Lincoln and Kempe, they also having a special technology at the basis of a special dedicated component. So in this particular case, you can use these all kind of power source, and you can select with our robot, and you can weld the component as per your requirement. Then like when we talk about the robot power source and all thing, now if we see in the market, as Jagannathan sir told, still there is a possibility where like we are not getting the actual component, because before that our pre-process is not correct, or our cutting process is not correct, or our stamping process is not correct. Because of that some deformations are there, so we are not getting the actual part position and all things. So in this particular case, we are having a different kind of technologies which is available in market for seam finding and seam tracking. So where actually your component only first and last point, while calculating the first and last point only, you can find the bead and you can weld. In that particular case, you will be going for the seam finding. So you will search the first point and last point, and you will make the program, and directly it will be automatically it will be welded. So for seam finding, the different kind of techniques are there, like touch sensing, AccuFast, MotoSight 2D, and servo robot SF and DF. When we talk about the touch sensing is actually through wire sensing. So whatever the our filler wire is there, with the filler wire we are going and we are touching the component in the both side, and after touching the component we are finding out what will be the center of that component, and then we are started welding the things. Second is AccuFast. AccuFast is also a laser sensor, where laser sense, with the help of this laser sensor, we are going to find the first point and last point, like because this is for point searching or seam finding. So in this particular case, this is a non-contact type of sensor. So it takes normally lesser time when we are searching the bead. So because from the high distance we can able to search the bead. So we will search the bead, and at the base of that, after finding the bead, we can able to weld the things. Then MotoSight 2D camera. Like from 2D camera, we can able to find where the bead is there. This is like in one shot, we can take an image and we can find the first and last point. And same like in servo robot laser sensor also. The second example is there for the seam tracking. Seam tracking, it means where like through arc. Once you have start the arc, for that you require the seam finding. But after starting the arc, you want the tracking, because while welding you want to track any deviation and you have to weld it. So in this particular case, we required seam tracking solution. So we are having like two kind of seam tracking solution. One is like ComArc through arc. So this is actually work at the basis of weld physics, where the particular the torch is there. Torch this is doing the weaving and is searching the where the bead is there and is welding it. But its limitation is there. It will work normally with a more than 3 mm sheet thickness, and it will decrease the speed of the robot. And second option is there with laser cameras or laser sensors. So when we talk about laser cameras and laser sensor, there are the two example is shown in below, where like X, Y and Z direction, all three direction, we can able to find out the part deviations, and through arc we can able to weld the things. If you see the first video, we have tilted the component, and after tilting the component also, when torch is started welding, then it will be following the component. When we talk about the second video, in the second video you see this component is placed on one floor, and now we are increasing the height. We are increasing the height, and after increasing the height also, when robot started and now is following the path. So is changing the height. So with the laser sensor, we get the possibility like within the lesser time, the searching time is very less, and with the lesser searching time, we can able to find the part and bead, and we can able to weld the component through arc welding. Now we'll talk about the robotic jig and fixtures. So when we talk about the robotic welding, complete cell, it consists of robot, welding power source, then our safety enclosures and welding fixture. Welding fixture also play the important role when we are going with the robotic welding. In the robotic welding, of course, whenever we are welding, we have to take care of the things. Whatever the robots are there, in this torch will be accessible on the all the point, whatever the predefined angle we required at the basis of welding. proper clamping should be there. And whenever in this particular picture, what we want to show, this is we have given the clear space and all things, because here we are using the laser sensing method. So first robot is searching and then is welding it. So it required clear space also. But when we talk about the basic nomenclature, like how the basic fixture has to be made, on this, like as a basis of NAMS standards, when we talk about, there will be like uh, this is the one fixture example is there, where we are having a two component, the base metal and top metal. So in this basic fixture, normally we will be loading the primary component, this. So loading accessibility should be there whenever we are making a fixture. Second part, loading accessibility should be there. Then whenever we are clamping, your part should not deviate and part should not define. That we have to take care. Then when we talk about the how normally we have to basic parameter what we have to follow on the fixture. Whenever like we are having this pillar frame or locating pin frame, in this particular case, we have to take care, like we should provide the proper adjustment, like X, Y, and Z direction. The particular adjustment is required. So this is an example of locating pin. So this is a mounting, and here we are having a block. So X and Y direction, we should have a variation and we should have a adaptability to change the fixture. So this is an adjustable 5 mm seam and 5 mm block. Here also 5 mm seam and 5 mm block as a book of thumb rule where we have to see. And this kind of X and Y tolerance we have to keep for modification. And also when we talk about the support tower with tower clamp, in this particular case also, we have to place like in Z direction. In Z direction, 5 mm plate and 5 mm seam should be there. So we can adjust in Z direction. And also in the robotic welding, we should have a always part presence sensor, because this operator has not loaded, that has to be taken care. And then we talk about whatever the cylinder and clamp we are using. In this also, in the Mylar or whatever the clamping mechanism is there, here in Z direction, we have to keep the some deviation so we can adjust by simming in the future. So this is a basic thing which we have to take care when we are going for the robotic welding fixture. And this is just one application video which I would like to run through. So if you see the sound, normally whenever we are doing the welding, the sound actually give the perfect feel which kind of welding you are doing it. If your sound is good, then your welding is also good. And then as Jagannathan sir told, like we will move further for the ROI calculation. So whenever we are going for ROI calculation, before ROI calculation, we have to make the estimation sheet, like how many part we can produce. And when we are deciding how many part we can produce, for that there is a basic parameters are there. The basic parameter which we have to select, like it should be single pass welding or multi pass welding, which kind of process we are using, MIG, MAG, TIG, what kind of material is there, what kind of joint is there, what kind of position, like horizontally vertical, horizontal, what is the bead size, and what is the speed factor, means it's difficult to access, easy to access, linear welding. When we enter these all detail, after this detail only we can understand what will be the welding speed. So at the basis of filling this detail only, when we can understand what will the welding speed. So this data is required for calculating the basic welding speed with wire size. Once we get the welding speed, then we can select like we are using the robot. And if we are using the robot, after that, if we are using any positioner, because if we are using positioner, whenever you are tilting the component, that also takes some cycle time. So the positioning time has to be calculated whenever you are going for positioning the things, or any external access by rotating column and all thing, through that you are going to like increase some cycle time. Or sensing technique is like whenever you are using the any kind of sensing technique is going to impact on your welding time. Whatever your welding process time is there or welding cycle time is there, welding speed is there, that is going to differ normally for through arc welding. So these all things we have to enter and we have to put the data, and after that only like each bead or length we have to enter, number of item we have to calculate how many number of item. As the base of number of item and all things, we can calculate how many number of start and number of stops are there, because each welding whenever arc start and arc stop is happening, as the depending upon the power source, they takes 0.4 to 0.7 second for arc start and arc stop. So how many arc start and stop is there, that has to be added. With the help of this only we can able to calculate, like for welding the particular length, how much second this particular power source or robot can weld this particular part. Like in 30 seconds we can weld this part. On the top of that, like total arc time is came, this is for calculating the total arc time. Other than total arc time, we are having like robot positioning time. Then from positioning time, station interchange, because from one station to other station when robot has to move, this time is required. Then some percentage of air cut time is required, because other than welding, there also some air cut time. And the last thing is torch cleaning time, because after some 20 or 30 cycle, you have to clean the torch. So when you add these all time while welding, then you can able to come out the total cycle time of weld this component. When you able to achieve total cycle time to weld this component, then only at the basis of your production efficiency and your working hour of shift, you can able to calculate your production volume. So this is a basic calculation sheet with at the basis of customer experience and all things they used to make. And when we talk about the ROI sheet, different people, different customer and different kind of vendor used to have a different kind of things. But when we talk about like one component, I have taken the example of fork and frame with a thumb rule, where we are using only one robot for welding 3.2 meter. This is like very rough example. So like if 3.2 meter complete length is there with this wire weight, and approx rate I have taken like 90 rupees per kg, something like this. So in this particular case, when we are going with manual welding, in the manual welding, when we are calculating weld cost, gas cost, power cost and labor cost, including that, approximately this is coming 56.48 rupees or 56 rupees cost approximately for 3.2 meter welding. When we talk about the robotic welding, approximately 10% saving will be there for the welding wire. How the welding wire saving will be there? One thing, whenever the manual labor is welding, he tends to make the bigger bead. So one saving is that. Second saving is that whenever we are going for robotic welding with the same parameter and this thing, we will have a good spatter control. And whenever spatter generation is happening, spatter actually a loss of wire. Less spatter, so you are utilizing more wire, more spatter, then you are wasting more wire. So the wire consumption with spatter and this whatever excess material we are not feeding, so we are covering that. And also in robot, what happen, if you want 5 mm bead or 6 mm bead, you have to just teach to 5 to 6 mm. But when operator is welding, he can go to 1 or 2 mm more. So bit of that, a wire saving and gas saving both is happening. When we talk about power cost, whenever we talk about normal welding robot, it used to consume approximately 1.5 kilowatt. Because whatever the welding machine is there, welding machine is consuming similar amount, because it's a process equipment. Either man is welding or either robot is welding. There will be same power consumption, or even with man, welding machine also will have a more power consumption. So robot power consumption is very less. Then second thing, what is get added in the robot, because whenever you are purchasing the robot, so there will be some maintenance cost. So that maintenance cost will be added. When we are comparing these all things, there the difference is coming approximately 13 rupees per part. So when we are running approximately 2 shift, and that I have taken very basic example, like only 180 frame we are able to make. In that case also we able to save approximately, like we are able to make 54,000 frame per year. And if difference between the manual welding setup and automatic welding setup, you are putting with one robot 30 lakh rupees extra, because already you have to make the you have to make the fixture, you have to make the other component, manual labor and all things you have to plan. So that cost already there. But when you are changing to robotic welding, there may be approximately 30 lakh you have added for the one system. In that particular case, when your saving is coming with the 2 shift, the saving ROI coming 4.4 year, and the 4.4 year is coming very positive, means very positive side. But when you add efficiency up, because of course when we are using the robot, the efficiency will up. Second thing, as Jagannathan sir also told, there will be rejection rate of 15 to 16% whenever you are welding any component. With the robot, rejection rate will be minimized. Third, loss due to the labor management. And fourth, power saving due to the optimum use of welding machine. When we add these all 4 points, approximately 30 to 40% further ROI will decrease. So this comes at less than a 3 year. And when you are using continuous like 20 hours, something like this, then automatically in 3.5 year. But if you include this bottom point, it may be 2.5 year. So this is a very basic calculation of ROI, which I have shown here. And after this ROI calculation and all things, I just want to jump up on current topic, which is normally Industry 4.0. And when we see the industry evaluation in Industry 4.0, how we have achieved, like Industry 1.0, this started in 18th century, where we used to work with the water and steam system. Then Industry 2.0 in beginning of 20th century is started, where the industrial revolution introduced mass production line powered by electric energy. Third, this is a time when our robotic industry came in picture, electronics become strong, and that's only the time in 1970 when mechatronic came in picture. And that's the revolution of Industry 3.0. Industry 3.0 revolution through the use of electronics and IT, further progression of automation of the production cycle. And now what we are discussing is the Industry 4.0. Industry 4.0 is basically is a cyber physical system. Is not only taking the data and analyzing the data, is not a digitization, because digitization we have already completed in the Industry 3.0. Now is come for the cyber physical system, where whatever the digitization we have done it, like whatever the any sensor, anything, whatever the feedback is coming, we are taking the feedback, we are taking the current, we are taking the voltage, we are recording it. These all things we have already done it. Now this data we are taking it, then we are analyzing it, and after that we are correcting it. This is the Industry 4.0, and we are connecting all parameters together. When one survey is done for the Industry 4.0, so Industry 4.0, the industry used to tell like how we used to utilize. The 47% people have told Industry 4.0 is improving the operational efficiency. Productivity is different, operational efficiency is different. So this is like improving our operational efficiency, 47% of people. 33% is improving of productivity. 29% creating a new business and new opportunity. 28% reducing the downtime. 22% is asking about the maximize the asset utilization, and 18% is ability to sell the product, and a similar way reducing the asset life cycle cost. Then 14% enhancing the worker safety, because we are getting the all data, all details. Then enhancing the product innovation and process, because we will get the all data, we have all information, so we can analyze very easily where have to do the innovations. Then better understanding of the customer demand, because if you have taken all data on Industry 4.0, customer also can find out what all kind of issues are there and where they require the help from the vendor to correcting the things. So these are basic phenomena where the top 10 trends where actually we are using the Industry 4.0. And this is a building block for Industry 4.0, where like Industry 4.0, it linked with everything: big data analytics, automation, robot, simulations, horizontal vertical integration, Industry 4.6, cyber security, and additive manufacturing. So Industry 4.0, normally all product manufacturer is providing the solution for the Industry 4.0 with this particular thing, and customer is making is as a whatever the building block is there, he is completing the building block and using this Industry 4.0 thing as a as we have Yaskawa cockpit. So the Yaskawa cockpit, when we talk about, is a AI technology based system, will we identify the cause and issue that are arising for analyzing the defect in each process, from operation data at the manufacturing side to make it possible and provide the feedback. And here I would like to run this one small video. So the Java cockpit, which is actually IQ mechatronic based. Here we visualize operation and system has data, with all kinds of data visualization will be there with us. So we can do asset management, like what all kind of assets are there, how is getting utilized, event maintenance. This asset management, like you can able to see how much time is running, where the activity, how much time robot off, how much time is running, product maintenance, anything on the power side, where it is the power data, like what kind of support we have to do, what kind of maintenance, all kind of alarm getting stored, and what kind of data, like what all kind of data is there on robot, you can able to access, you can able to take. And this data, you can link with the add-on application, you can visualize, you can develop your application, and you can see how can you use. And this data also can be linked to ERP, APIs for your easy understanding and creating your business needs. So basically the outcome of that video, like data collection and visualization, then you can do the data analysis and link with the higher end system with the help of OPCA and UA. So now we'll talk about like how the system get linked with OPCA and UA. So normally what all product company is doing, like whatever the system is there, they are making a one core system. So like as we are having Yaskawa cockpit core system. So this is a Yaskawa cockpit core system where whatever the device is connected from us, from DC or DA app, it will be getting and the data will be stored in the YCP system. And this data will be analyzed at the basis of this thing, and through Wave API, we can able to access that particular data and we can analyze that data. And then through this Wave API, further this data we can give to the OPCA server, and from OPCA server is a common platform where you can utilize this particular data and you can make your own system as the basis of your factory request or factory understanding. You can utilize this data. This is actually our current YCP structure what we are having. So as I told you in last slide, this like robot and systems are there connected through Ethernet. We are collecting the all robotic data related to the robot, power source, current, voltage. So these all kind of data we will be collecting it. If you have a other system like MP controller and all thing, that data also through Ethernet we are collecting it. Then from with add-on software and add-on system, we can take the data of PLC collections and PLC data and the other data for third-party data. These all data we can able to take on the Yaskawa cockpit platform. This Yaskawa cockpit platform is an intermediate layer. So this layer actually very useful for if you are having anything like any alarm, any application, anything you want to generate. So with the Yaskawa cockpit, we can get like operating status, monitoring diagnostic, this kind of thing, education and failure products, prediction, troubleshooting of the equipment and quality defect detection. So these are four basic things which we have already done it. If customer want any other customized thing, that also possible with the add-on functions. Also, we can generate the emailing and wave servant function where like from this data will be float, any alarm, anything is coming, you will get the emailing information on your server or through mail. And whatever this data is there on Yaskawa cockpit that you can take on OPCA server on open platform, and from OPCA you can use with your OPCA client where you can customize the complete system as the basis of your ERP need and all things. Now I will just touch up about the welding part also. Whenever we talk about like this robot data collection is going on. Similar way, our welding power source, welding current, voltage, these data also collection will be going on. And there will be some optimum lines are there where like current voltage, whatever your welding is there, there's a predefined welding, predefined this thing is going on. And if any disturbance is coming, how disturbance will come? Disturbance means your part is not correct. Part is not correct. So while welding, current and voltage will change. It will inform. When it is informed, we will record that data and we will understand in this particular lot, the current and voltage, some deviation is came. So we have to check this particular lot part. So there will be a chance of rejection. So similar way, after observing this and all things, we can understand also like where we are putting up the wrong gas flow, wrong this thing, and we can correct our operational efficiency. Oh, I think I've gone very fast and the session is got completed. So Jagannathan, now is over to you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Alok, for a enlightening session on various aspects, especially the seam tracking intelligence, what you spoke about the robot with various technologies, right from touch sensing to laser to vision. And of course, the spatter control, keeping the pulse and the short circuit welding. And very interestingly, I found return on investment to be very close to less than 3 years. And looking at the rejection efficiency overall, this thing, I think definitely it's going to be a big benefit in terms of robotizing the welding in the near future. And coming to Industry 4.0, especially the Weld 4.0, the OPC UA handshake in terms of all the data available as OPC UA server and client methodology is really very, very interesting. So it has been a good session, and now we open the session for question and answers. So I am not seeing any questions on the chat box. Now it's thrown open to the audience. So anybody has any questions, please can come online and start asking, or you can raise your hand. I can prompt you the question, please. So in the meantime, I have a question, Alok, here. Like if you're talking of less than 3 years return on investment, what is that which is stopping the customer in going in for robotic weld automation? What are the typical challenges you have encountered?
Sir, normally what our feeling is there, because we also go to the market and all things. First thing is there like a pre-part process. So whatever the pre-part process is there, when we talk about the engineering industry. So engineering industry, their child part itself is not correct. So when we talk about railway and all other kind of construction industry, so child part is not correct. So already customer have burned their hand in past time when they have gone with the welding and they have not used the seam tracking and seam finding function, and then welding is not success that particular case. So one is that he's given the fear in the engineering industry. Second thing, when we talk about the SME and all things, earlier, not now, but earlier era, the robotic cost is very high. Where like one robotic welding system used to cost, like only robot and welding system used to cost around 30 to 35 lakh rupees or 30 lakh long year ago. And that time the field is came like robotic welding investment is very high. But nowadays in this era, there is a multiple solutions are available. With that, our initial costs are reduced like anything, and different kind of technology is there. So this like one perception which actually initially made the high investment that actually is stopping a customer for moving further on this. Third thing is there the skill set. So the skill set of the easily find out the people who can operate the robot and all things. So some customer are feeling because of that, because I have a example of in few companies, even not long back, I can talk about the big tier ones, some 7 or 8 years ago, there used to be there only one robotic engineer or two robotic engineer. And when discussing with the company, he is the premium person. Like he will come on time, he will go on time. So this kind of feel is there in the past. But now the thing is changed, as now if we see all colleges, all ITI, everyone is having a robotic training centers, and we are getting a skill set outside from the all colleges and ITI centers. So now skill is not a problem. So I think now our customer can move further on that. Second thing, earlier people have not having a that much cost effective solution for seam tracking and laser sensing. Now that also available with a cost effective way. So also now I think customer can move further on that. So like skill set, this thing, and third thing, initial investment. Now
Hmm.
that also is reduced. So I feel the earlier perception is still
Hmm.
which is actually stopping the customer. But as you rightly said, whatever the robotic automation is there, in
Hmm.
that approximately more than 50% is a welding automation.
Correct.
So that is your ROI is there. That's
Hmm.
only the reason customer is going on for this 50% of automation in the welding automation.
Okay. Now this seam tracking which you presented,
Yes, sir.
what percentage of how much is the cycle time loss because of touch sensing? When you resort to touch sensing, what kind of percentage of cycle time has to be sacrificed because of this? Number one. Number two, as against laser seam tracking, investment versus ROI. How does it work out? This, if you could answer, I mean, it will be really good.
Yes, sir. Sir, when we talk about the touch
Hmm.
sensing are normally used for the finding the first point and last point. So when
Okay.
we are searching for first point and last point, approximately as the base of thumb rule, it used to take approximately 6 to 8 seconds.
Hmm.
The maximum side it used to take around 6 to 8 seconds. So the
Hmm.
6 to 8 second each joint searching it used
Okay.
to take.
Hmm.
What happen if customer having a very big length,
Hmm.
then is a cost effective solution and good solution for customer. But if
Hmm.
customer is having a very small bead
Hmm.
like 10 bead or
Hmm. Hmm.
100 200 if this kind of bead is there, then this is not a solution for this kind of component.
Too much time is lost on touch sensing. Hmm.
Yeah, too much time is lost on the touch sensing because you have to search on multiple. So in
Hmm.
this case, we have to go for the laser sensing only. And laser
Okay.
sensing, a good example, good thing is there. In
Hello.
yes, sir, some disturbance.
Hello, some disturbance. Can someone who is that can mute the mic? Yeah, Alokji, please continue. I
But
think.
when we talk about the laser sensing normally if we tell is while welding is
Hmm.
not reducing your cycle time because is normally for the seam tracking and seam finding.
Hmm.
So is not reducing cycle time, but of course when we goes for the initial search point, so
Hmm.
approximately 1 to 2% your cycle time will get impact. But
Hmm.
when we talk about the touch sensing, approximately 10% your cycle time will get impacted.
Okay. What about the return on investment when you go for laser seam tracking?
Sir, is somewhat tricky. What if I tell if you are having a higher production,
Hmm.
laser will be give you the more ROI,
Okay.
a good ROI.
Do you have significant installations with laser seam tracking in India now? Like what percentage, if you can just tell us, just an interest to know, is it really picking up or is it becoming viable for the customer? That's the interest.
If we talk about in term of the rent, in term of the 100, so in term of 100, we will having a 80% installation with the touch sensing or through arc sensing like Comarc, and
Hmm.
hardly 20% installation will be with laser
Hmm.
because their customer always like earlier the cost of laser sensing is very high. That's also a reason.
Hmm.
Second thing is there like laser sensor while we are welding. So customer normally have a fear like it
Hmm.
will get distorted and it will have a problem. Then again, there's a huge cost sensor we have to change.
Okay.
But through arc sensing, what happened? There is a no maintenance.
Okay. Hmm.
There
Hmm.
is a no maintenance. But of course, customer has to compromise with productivity.
Okay. So we have one question from Mr. Akshay Gosavi, TM Seating, that I want to know, is it possible to record welding wire gas consumption data against all cycle with Yaskawa?
Gas consumption data.
Gas
Uh,
consumption as well as weld wire length.
Sir, actually, if I tell directly from robot, not possible. But of
Hmm.
course, through our Industry 4.0 software,
That is
we
what
can
iCube Mechatronics, if they install, can they track this?
For that, we have to make the add-on function.
That's what. So probably there is a method which you
Hmm.
can implement and track that with iCube Mechatronics and an optional API or something like that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That is possibility is there.
Hmm.
So even for wire consumption is easy. It can be
Hmm.
done very easy. For gas consumption is something like this, the third party device we have to mount and then we
Hmm.
have to take the things. Because wire consumption, what happened, we are already entering the dia, wire
Hmm.
dia,
Hmm.
and we are giving the current, so wire speed is coming. So
Okay.
through this calculation, normally what the other company is doing, this is like not actual consumption. This is
Okay.
like approximately thumb rule
Estimation.
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 Yeah,
Estimation. Yeah.
normally they are providing the estimations.
Estimation. Okay. Maybe in case if they really want to track, they can put a flow sensor on the device and probably connect it that through the conversion into the intelligence.
Right, right, right. That
Got
is
it.
possible.
Got it. One Mr. Prashant is asking, what is the payload of the robot? Robot is not carrying any load. I guess you explained it. Can you once again explain this?
Yes, sir. There is a like different robot is having a different payloads. But when we talk about like basic our arc welding robot used to come with a 12 kg payload robot. So in this 12 kg payload robot, if anything is not mounted on wrist, his payload is 12 kg.
Hmm.
And the second payload is there on robot third arm. So robot third axis payload is 15 kg.
Hmm.
But on the wrist side, if you have mounted only 5 kg,
Hmm.
then your third axis load is 15 plus 7 kg. So
Hmm.
if you want to increase your third axis payload where we are mounting the wire feeder, so if like you want to mount the two wire feeder, so you want
Okay.
higher payload. So in that particular case, if you can control your torch weight and all things, in that particular case, you can mount the two wire feeder also. So this is the case like payload in the two area, one is 6 axis, one is third axis. 6 axis is a 12 kg, third axis is a 15 kg in normal arc welding robots.
Okay. Okay. So, from the audience, anybody has any question, you can unmute your mic and ask the question, or you can come through chat. We still have time.
Hello.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. This is Puneet.
Good afternoon, Mr. Puneet.
If it comes to robotic welding, how do you control the weld concavity, convexity, and the throat thickness and weld bead and all? Is there any input? How to give those inputs?
Can you pardon again, sir?
Sir, if it comes to robotic welding,
Right, sir.
how to control weld concavity, weld convexity, and weld bead thickness and throat thickness and all?
So this all can be controlled in the robotic welding. It just depend upon the like which kind of process we are using in that particular things, and with the changing of if you see our I have shown in presentation like parameter setting sheet. In the
Hmm.
setting sheet, what happen like when you are changing the torch angle, you are
Hmm.
changing the torch angle. So at the basis of that, your concavity and all things you can change with the help of the changing the angle. And when you talk about the bead size like whenever you are increasing your current, when you increase your current you can increase your bead size.
Got it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so Asif here. I have a question like what is the scope of doing part fitment with means this robotic functions of welding? Like we are discussing on continuous welding part only, but can we do the fitment with the help of robot, like tacking activity only?
Yes, sir, of course this is possible. And how this is possible, normally if we see like in the engineering industry we are doing that where actually component is not accurate enough. So in that particular case we are just placing the component. When we are placing the component, our robot used to go search the things. After searching, it will put the tag here on the particular point, and after tagging, the particular component will go in the real welding. That kind of combination possible. Like if you want to put only small tech, that also possible. If you want to go for continuous well, that also possible.
Okay, so in that case, that will be completely controlled by robot, or like the parts we have to carry to the means part we have to pick.
Sir, here like multiple examples are available in India and abroad also, where actually whatever the child parts are there, child part is feeded through conveyor, all through indexing conveyor, all through some jigs, and then robot is taking the particular part, placing on the jigs. After placing on the jigs, robot is giving the confirmation, then clamping happening, and second robot is doing the welding. So one thing is part fitment is possible, part loading is possible, and part welding is possible through the robot. Now, other case will come if your part is having some error, because robot normally require the predefined things. So in that case also, if we can use the vision system and moto fit kind of thing, with the help of this also, we can able to pick and load the component.
Okay, sir, understood. Thank you very much.
So we have one question from Mr. H.G. Harisha, OPN Mysore. Is there any solution to eliminate the weld distortion during MIG welding to meet the design requirement? We know that by optimizing parameters, we can minimize the distortion, but can't be eliminated. Apart from parameter optimization, any other solution?
So distortion, any other solution, as uh, you have seen in our slide, we are having a one technique where like our AC welding is there, like AC welding technique is there. So like whatever our robot is there, X350, this is normally DC welding, and the DC welding we can provide one more unit which is called AC interpolation unit. So AC interpolation unit, what it will do, it will, in between the one AC cycle, it will change the polarity of positive to negative. So in that particular case, whenever we are changing the polarity, then while welding, our base metal will be cold. So when base metal is cold, the distortion will be very less. One thing is that this is like similar like we are controlling the heat input. So one thing is that, but because of this, penetration will get reduced. But if you don't want to reduce the penetration also, then there is the only thing is that we have to provide the cooling mechanism in the fixture. So and cooling mechanism make the fixture when we provide, then it will get the heat dissipation, and through that we can reduce the distortion. So either you can go with our XAC unit, where actually in one AC cycle we can change the polarity and our base metal will be cooler, so we can reduce the distortion. But if you don't want to compromise on the penetration, then you have to work out on the fixture side.
Okay. We have one more question from one Mr. Prashant. How robot programming is done, manual or software, which one is preferred?
Both are preferred depending upon the customer requirement, because when you are having a simple object and all things, and the continuous production is there, so you can choose the manual teaching method. And other than that, like second method is there auto teaching. Like auto teaching, two thing is there. One is like human collaborative robot, where only human can jog the thing and store the point. Second is there through our simulation software, where we can make the offline program and we can load that particular program. So if you are having a too many part, variance of part, and multiple welding is required, so I feel you can go with the offline programming, which will be easier. If we talk about the our bigger OEM like MSI, Ilson and all thing, they normally following this activity only. They are doing offline programming and loading in the robot with the basis of user frame. But this is of course whenever we are going with the offline programming, we should create the user frame. We should have a work object, and programming should be at the basis of user frame coordinate only.
Okay, got it. We have one more question from Mr. Arun V. In case if we are going for NADCAP, NADCAP approval, will the weld operator qualification is required, or is that only process qualification is sufficient for robotic weld?
Sorry, sir, I'm not aware of that.
Something like NADCAP approval, NADCAP. Mr. Arun, can you come online?
This is, I think, National Aerospace and Defense Contractor.
Okay.
Arun sir?
So he's asking whether if the process compliance is there, operator qualification is essential.
Yeah, that is essential.
Essential. Okay.
Okay.
Still. Okay. We also have welcome Mr. Chandramouli, who is the chairman of Industry 4.0 at BCIC. Welcome, sir. Good morning. So if you have any questions, we would like to answer. Hello, yeah, your voice is was not clear. Once again, sir.
Hello, is it clear now?
Yeah. Now it is clear.
Computer audio is not working.
Yeah.
I don't want to intervene in your Q&A because I joined late because there was a Jain University program of BCIC. Sir, I was in the panel.
Okay.
But I'm glad that we are having a beautiful program with the welding, automation and digitalization. I was about to type a question
Yeah.
anonymously. You caught me somewhere. The question is, can we use IoT? If it is already addressed, I stand corrected. Can we use IoT for improving weld process quality? Weld process quality in a proactive manner through a real-time feedback loop. Is there any case study done by Yaskawa of using IoT concept? I don't want to say industry 4.0. That's a big word. Just one technology, IoT concept, for improving weld quality proactively through monitoring processes before the defect happened. Is there any case study by Yaskawa? Globally, anywhere?
Actually, this possibility is there. And when 2 years ago, I have visited Japan for IREXO. So that particular time, they have shown us with our arc monitoring function and arc weld monitoring function. So this is actually our Yaskawa cockpit add-on function. Take the whatever the actual feedback is going on. So we will take the feedback of the all things, and whenever the occurrence is occurring, wherever the any disturbance is occurring in the current and voltage, that we can able to record, and we are informing that, and at the basis of that, whatever correction is there, for that they have made the demo, but still it has not launched in the real time organization.
Okay,
So it's still in the laboratory stage,
Yeah,
but not yet implemented on real time in the market. That's what you're trying to say.
Yes.
Okay.
But also some solution like with third party already implemented by our Yaskawa US through the some sound technique, wherever the like sound is changing. At the base of sound, they are just correcting the current and voltage and again changing the welding parameter and welding it.
I
Okay.
want something which is dynamically correcting.
Yes.
We are
Yes.
not talking about some feedback is given and the next morning some process changes. That is very traditional. We know that.
Right.
So see, while in CNC machining is already happening. So why not in CNC welding and CNC robotic welding, whatever it is? I heard that some people are working on vision-based corrective action. That is, as a weld is happening, there is a camera which is looking at the weld quality. And then as the weld quality is deviating due to the gap between the seam, whatever it is, then immediately corrective action is done, and then either the rod will move faster or current will change, and then the weld is improved. So this kind of a...
So that's the basic thing that's already available with our laser sensors and weld guide. Actually, I am in the impression
that is
like
vision-based. Is it vision-based?
Yeah. Sir, just now we showed 4 technologies.
Maybe,
seam
because I
tracking.
joined late that I have not seen.
So one of them was a vision-based technology, apart from laser and seam tracking through touch sensing. So, but dynamic correction, as you're talking.
IoT-based. I'm looking at IoT-based.
Okay. So
I have to check. But when we talk about at the basis of real-time base, so whenever gap is changing, at the basis of gap, vision camera and laser sensor is giving the information. We are collecting that particular information and wire feed used to be changed, and weaving also used to be changed at the basis of that, and robot speed also used to control. So these three parameters we are controlling, and then we are correcting the belt width.
The other third question is ML based. While ML looks like a jargon, welding is an ideal target for it. So because machining is a very organized, structured science. Welding is very difficult to make it as a structured science. But ML can be used and correlations can be obtained through enormous amount of data analytics happening in an organization or in a factory across welding equipments.
Right, sir.
Then they can create parameters based on algorithms and trends, and that corrective and preventive action can again be taken. If you can't do through IoT concept, at least the ML based, I'm looking at quality improvement only. I'm not looking at productivity and all those stuff. Quality. Because welding is an extremely important area for quality. And any amount of technology driven approach is welcome. I don't want to intervene. Please continue with your Q&A.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Jagannath, and forget the name, Mr. Pandeji.
Mr. Alok Pandey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So any more questions from the audience? I'm not seeing anything on the chat box. If someone is interested, can come online, and we still have time. So anybody, any questions?
I have one request to Mr. Pandey.
Yes, sir.
Since it is a master class, if you can design a 10 questions, Jagannath can guide you with multi-choice answer, of which only one answer is correct. 10 questions, 4 answers or 5 answers, but one answer is correct answer on the class you conducted today. Only within the content of what you conducted today, BCIC would like to send it to the 32 or 40 participants and ask them to mark it. And if they get good marks, we will decide the meaning of good. Pandeji will decide maybe 60%, 70%, whatever. Then BCIC will give a master class participation certificate. Not for all those who registered, only those who attended today. Can Pandeji come with a questionnaire by tomorrow, day after tomorrow? Question paper.
Yes, sir. I can give you by Monday.
Please, because assessment is a very important thing for student. The word master class connotes even the senior people attending today are like a student. And when you do assessment with at least 10 multi-choice question, 60% correct, we will give participation certificate for all those who attended today. We have electronically made ready in BCAC, and it will go in an electronically digital certificate. Jagannath ji can coordinate and it will go.
Right.
In fact, we wanted to give it for the previous sessions also, but now at least let us start today, and then every master class will get certificate for those who attended, not those who registered.
Sure, we'll coordinate and get this.
I hope there is a database for those who attended also.
Yeah, I think BCIC is tracking, so we'll be very clear. Yeah.
Normally they attract the registered, but attended is challenging. Thank you, sir. I would like to leave with the best wishes to both of you.
Thank you, sir. So I think we still yet to get questions on the chat box. Anybody would like to ask any questions from the audience?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
This is Puneet.
Yes.
Sir, actually, I have seen so many places. Everyone use argon gas for welding.
Okay.
Still, we have so many inert gases now. So neon is there, krypton is there. Why not those gases will use?
Sir, because of the cost.
Sorry. Hello.
Normally, argon is used because is from other gas is cost effective. Second thing is there is not that much harmful for health than other inert gases. So hazardousness and cost.
Thank you, sir.
Very important.
So I have one question, Alokji. Are there the recent installations completely running only with CO2 and no argon? That kind of a case is there in MIG welding?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. When we take the example of MSIL Sun,
Okay.
Suzuki Sun, they work only with 100% CO2.
Okay.
They work only with 100% CO2. Of course, they will go for the servo torch system. Where will the servo feeding torch system will be there, but
Okay.
there only 100% CO2 will be there.
So on a long run, there is a good cost, running cost savings, right?
Right. The initial investment on robot side is somewhat higher, but the
overall running cost will come down as a result of zero argon.
Yeah. So that also, if you have seen in our presentation, we are having three categories like SR350, X350, X350 plus. So
Okay.
normally with 100% CO2, we are recommending X350 and X350 plus, that kind of power source.
Okay. Good. Fine. I think we will end the session as there are no more questions. So thank you very much, Mr. Alok Pandey and Mr. Amal for joining this session and making it, really very nice and very well structured and finishing it much before ahead of time. And giving us the clear exposure of the complete robotization of welding, in the market, and what kind of technology and what kind of return on investment and what kind of progress is happening in the market. So we all look forward for another session sometime soon, and definitely I'm sure you will come up with that questionnaire so that we can circulate this on Monday. And thank you very much, and thank you, audience, for having a patient hearing and some good questions at the end of the session. Thank you very much. Prithvi, can you just do word of thanks, please?
Sure, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jagannath sir, for moderating this today's masterclass. It was really good and exciting, and many takeaways were there for the participants who are logged in. And we really, though we had very good number of registration happen, many didn't log in. So it's we will try to share this presentation to the other members who are not able to log in. And also like to thank Alok Pandey and his colleague Amal also for supporting us for this presentation. It was really good, Alok, for sharing a lot of insights on the masterclass on this welding automation in the manufacturing sector. This PPT can be shared, Alok, no, to the members?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's open. It's open. Okay.
Yes,
or if need be, you can give us the editable one which we can share to our members.
I will send with question and answers.
Great. So as Jagannath sir suggested, we look for more such sessions from your end, and we look forward for this. As a token of appreciation from the chamber, we would like to give a virtual memento to you, Alok, and please share us your contact address so that we will deliver it to your either office or residence. Purushottam, can we have this virtual memento played? Yeah. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a safe and weekend and a good weekend. Yeah. Thank you also for all the participants for joining in on the weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you also.
Thank you, Mr. Alok. Thank you, Mr. Amal, once again for excellent session. Meet you sometime soon. Okay. Thank you, Prithvi, for making all this happen. Let us see in the next masterclass in the coming month. Soon we will announce what it is. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you.